The concept of the ideal healthy plate has dramatically evolved since the 1970s, reflecting shifts in nutritional science, societal trends, and our understanding of how food affects our health. But here's where it gets controversial. What we once considered a wholesome, balanced meal looks very different today, and debates about the best approach to diet continue to spark passionate discussions. Professor George Grimble, who grew up as one of 7 children in the 1960s, vividly recalls a family diet reminiscent of wartime rationing. Simple, straightforward, and largely home-cooked. Meals often consisted of cottage pie, Sunday roasts, or occasional fish fingers. Processed foods were viewed skeptically, seen as poor value for money, a mindset shaped by his parents' generation. Grimble's eventual path into nutrition research at University College London gave him a unique perspective to witness firsthand how the ideal healthy plate has shifted over the decades. Over time, the once clear-cut balance of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats has become far more nuanced. We've moved away from fixating solely on macronutrients to appreciating the quality and sources of those nutrients. But, and here's the debate, some outdated ideas stubbornly cling on, like the lingering fear of fats that still influences some dietary advice today. Nicola Ludlam-Rain, a specialist dietitian and author, notes that the narrative has transitioned from an obsession with low-fat and calorie counting to a focus on high-fiber, minimally processed, and primarily plant-based diets. In the last 20 years especially, the priority has shifted towards overall dietary patterns instead of isolating single nutrients. A major leap forward in nutrition thinking. So what did the healthy plate look like in the past, and how has it transformed? In the 1970s UK, a typical balanced meal was a straightforward plate comprising meat, 2 kinds of vegetables, and potatoes. The focus was on providing adequate nutrition, enough protein to meet daily needs, sufficient iodine and calcium, and energy from staples like white bread. Brown bread was less popular then. This was a legacy of wartime rationing that emphasized nutritional sufficiency rather than restricting specific fats or sugars. The Ministry of Agriculture had a significant influence back then, guiding food choices to support British agriculture and food security. Red meats such as beef and lamb featured prominently, and people consumed roughly a pound of red meat each week, nearly double today's consumption. Root vegetables like carrots, turnips, and parsnips, along with potatoes, were the standard sides. Saturated fat was largely accepted without much concern, despite scientific studies like Ansel Keys' 7-country study beginning to link it with heart disease. Lard was still commonly used for cooking, as Grimble's mother would attest. However, during the mid-70s, an important shift took place when medical authorities entered the conversation more forcefully. Reports in 1974 and 1976 recommended reducing fat, especially saturated fat, and cholesterol intake, marking the start of official health guidance focused on heart disease prevention. But this was not without controversy. Professor John Yedkin challenged the dominant views by emphasizing sugar's role in heart disease, arguing fat's harm was overblown. It was a lively debate, Grimble recalls. The 1980s intensified the low-fat craze. Butter was ousted in favor of margarine. Cottage cheese became a diet staple, and convenience lines like lean cuisine emerged, where reducing fat often meant increasing carbohydrates, albeit sometimes refined ones. Interestingly, this decade also saw positive breakthroughs as research highlighted the health benefits of polyunsaturated fats, such as omega-3s found in fish oils, and the crucial role of dietary fiber in gut health and cancer prevention. Pioneering work revealed butyric acid from fiber promotes cellular health, making fiber the new star nutrient. Bean proteins were also recognized for their quality. In the 1990s, fears around fat peaked, earning the nickname fat phobia. Potatoes earned a health endorsement due to their carbohydrate content, while baked beans gained popularity thanks to their fiber and protein. Functional foods like probiotic Yakult and fortified cereals became mainstream. Public health messages still prioritized fat reduction and cholesterol control. often leading to increased sugar consumption to replace fat. Olive oil began to enjoy wider use in the UK, helped by celebrity chefs and increasing interest in Mediterranean diets. The 1994 introduction of the Balance of Good Health plate visually communicated balanced eating, dividing food into 5 groups, emphasizing fruits, vegetables, starches, dairy, and proteins with specific proportions. Though influential, this guide was aimed at overall diet patterns rather than individual meals. Then came the carb-phobic 2000s, highlighted by the popularity of Atkins and similar low-carb diets, which encouraged higher consumption of red meats and fats and discouraged bread and pasta. This period marked the wider acceptance of whole grains and the glycemic index concept, differentiating healthier carbs from simple sugars. The decade also saw a relaxed attitude toward dietary cholesterol, with experts lifting previous limits on eggs. The 2007 Eat Well plate updated earlier guidelines to incorporate the diversity of starchy foods and broaden the protein category to include plant sources like beans and eggs, reflecting a more global cuisine influence. In the 2010s, the pendulum swung yet again, from fat fear to embracing healthy fats, such as those found in avocados, nuts, and oily fish. The rise of plant-based eating, propelled by influencers and increasing environmental awareness, brought quinoa, kale, and plant milks into mainstream diets. The popularity of very low-carb ketogenic diets also surged. Nutrition science became increasingly complex and sometimes overwhelming, while grocery baskets packed with exotic superfoods sometimes overshadowed concerns about sustainability. The 2016 revision of the Eat Well plate into the Eat Well guide prioritized fiber intake, plant proteins, and fruits and vegetables, while explicitly placing limits on free sugars and emphasizing hydration. This was a key moment in public health messaging and encouraged moderation, not just allowances, for treats like chocolate and crisps. Entering the 2020s, the focus continues on food quality and dietary patterns, rather than isolated nutrients. Ultra-processed foods have been widely condemned, while traditional home cooking has made a comeback. Fermented foods like kefir, sauerkraut, and kimchi, once niche, are now celebrated for their benefits on the gut microbiome, a concept only recently understood beyond specialist circles. Today, nutrition experts stress diverse micronutrients and encourage variety in protein sources, including beans, lentils, tofu, nuts, and seeds, alongside moderate amounts of animal products. The mantra is balance and flexibility. Eat more plants, reduce free sugars, choose moderate healthy fats, and make food choices that fit your lifestyle, culture, and budget, says Ludlam Rain. Frozen and tinned vegetables and pulses are recognized as convenient, affordable, and nutritious, qualities that sometimes get overlooked in discussions centered on fresh and exotic foods. The long-held fear of saturated fat is also being reevaluated. While not dismissed entirely, it is now understood that saturated fats are less